Doug, you know how I'm going to start this, don't you? I think it was almost a year ago now when you were on set. You were just sitting in the chair just over there, and you said to me, there is no way that Donald Trump will be elected as the Republican candidate for the White House. As we're heading at the moment, he's going to be the president, isn't he?
Yeah, I actually went further than that. I was more wrong than that, Stuart. I actually said that Donald Trump would not even be the nominee for his party, let alone the next president of the United States. The only comfort I suppose I could take tonight is that I, along with 10 million other pundits out there, were wrong, including the pollsters. All the King's pollsters, all the King's pundits are now, their models have seemed to have crumbled before them. What we're seeing is a sort of perfect storm, in a sense, Stuart, tonight. And like you said, there is no winner yet declared. Trump seems to be on a path to the presidency. But what seems to be going on here is a perfect storm in favor of Donald Trump in one respect and working against Hillary Clinton in another respect. Hillary Clinton, we've been talking for weeks and months about the coalition that she was appealing to and pitching to. Women, African Americans, Latinos, mostly voters, educated voters, the millennials, the younger voters, trying to get the Bernie Sanders voters over into her camp. Donald Trump, from the very beginning, if nothing else, he had a very sort of consistent narrative in the types of voters he said he was appealing to, and the types of voters that would ultimately turn out with him. And it seems like tonight he's been proven more right. I remember back at the Republican conventions, one of the first things he said when he came out onto the stage to give his nominating speeches, he said to the crowd, it was almost a hushed crowd at that point, "We're going to win big, we're going to win so big." And it sounded like the standard sort of Donald Trump rhetoric at that point. That's the type of stuff Donald Trump says. And you stand here tonight and you start to think, wow, in retrospect, Donald Trump, did he actually know something that everyone else didn't know? Well, look, what did he know, Stuart? He knew that there were a very large contingent of disaffected, we've been talking about it, angry, resentful people who used Donald Trump, really embraced his message. He became almost a vector, if you will, a lightning rod for so much anger, angst, and anti-establishment feeling. And for better or for worse, Hillary Clinton, and he successfully cast her as the embodiment of the establishment, a career politician who had served just about every role you can in Washington, working her way up to the top. And he was able to ride with that. And that was a very, very effective message that resounded deeply, that resonated deeply with his base of voters. The figures, and we're obviously not going to have them for several hours, if not more days, but the figures that are shaping up tonight, Stuart, as we're seeing them, is that he has a very heavy proportion, Donald Trump, of voters in battleground states that Hillary Clinton had considered pretty safe, where she seemed to have a comfortable margin. Not African American voters, evangelical voters, rural residents, white voters without college degrees. And you might notice, Stuart, I didn't say white male voters without college degrees. From the statistics we're starting to patch together, white voters without college degrees includes a lot of women. So this will become another issue that everyone's going to splice and dice and really have to examine over the next few days. To what degree did Donald Trump, despite so much of the scandal that had sort of revolved around much of his candidacy in recent weeks and months, how many women did he attract into his camp?
Doug, just very briefly, when we can see the White House behind you there, perhaps the pillar of the establishment, if you like. I mean, how worried do you think some people will be there, as you say, not because he's a Republican, because he's just an unknown factor, really? I mean, a man with so little experience.
Unknown. I mean, the question you might want to ask is, did Donald Trump, did Americans actually call his bluff today? Did Donald Trump really want to be president? I know it sounds a little tongue-in-cheek to say that, but it's clear that Donald Trump has the ego. He had the desire. He was a billionaire who obviously likes attention, likes power and everything. Someone might have said to him at one point, "Hey, you should run for president. You have a good chance. Why not?" And sort of a sudden, it's like a reality TV show, right? He finds himself running for the presidency, and lo and behold, it becomes more and more of a plausible prospect. And here it is tonight, where he's possibly on his way to taking occupancy in that house right behind me in late January. So you have to ask, did he actually want to be president? And how is he going to handle the job of presidency? If you're going to sort of look ahead, and once again, we're speaking hypotheticals. There is no winner yet at this hour. But, is he going to rely on his vice president, Mike Pence, to do most of the work for him? Is he finally going to sort of fall back on the advisors that through so much of his campaign, he often seemed stubbornly resistant to, advice he wasn't going to take? He reshuffled his campaign, fired a lot of his campaign managers, was constantly overhauling things. Will he now, that it seems like he's actually going to have the highest office in the land, be forced to rely on a lot of these people? Because when push comes to shove, he doesn't have the experience to be president, as a lot of people said. He's never really held this political role. And now he finds himself having to have one of the most difficult jobs in the world, potentially, come late January.